welcome everyone to another episode with Everyday People with your host, Jesus Washington. And every single week I always have special guests, and today I have two very, very special guests. I have Miss Kendalyn, a beautiful, beautiful photographer, and she does more than just photography. And I have here also a movie producer from Hollywood, Mr. Julio Leal.
Thank you.
Yes. So we are going to go into the show with Miss Kendalyn. Yalla, Miss Kendalyn. How you get your name, Habibti?
Hello, everybody. I got my mother named me. My name is Kendalyn Liebzeit. She came up with my name one night while she was pregnant. My name was going to be Kendall, and my middle name was going to be my aunt's middle name. One night she was sitting in bed pregnant, just saying my name. This is how she tells the story, so don't fault me. She was saying my name, Kendalyn. She said it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then she just said, Kendalyn, I like that more. So Kendalyn became my full name. My aunt's middle name is in my first name, and then I have my mother's middle name as my middle name. So yeah, that's how my name came about.
So you're kind of like, you have like an ancestry line of your family.
Yeah, you can
you imagine that?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy when I think about it.
You have like multiple people within you.
Yeah, yes, all the time.
Wait till you hear about mine. No.
All right, now let's talk about your childhood.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so I grew up in White Lake, Michigan. It was a small, pretty conservative town. It kind of feels like, when I look back on it now, like it's like eons away. I think that my childhood taught me a lot about how to be a kind, caring, and empathetic person by showing me what not to do sometimes. At times I had to grow up pretty quickly, and when I reflect on my childhood, the people in it, and the situations and experiences I had, I realize that people aren't good, people aren't bad, they're just human at the end of the day.
That's the way you put it, yeah?
Yeah, in my, when I was growing up, I hid a lot of who I was, which has driven me in my adult life to always be authentically myself. I lived so much of my childhood in fear of others, fear of being unsuccessful, fear of who I was in my sexuality, or of not being normal, and what other people would think of me. Now, I celebrate the things that I was once afraid of. I am no longer afraid of others or being weird or of how others people perceive me. I perceive myself, and I practice patience and kindness within myself that I may not have received as a kid, and I love myself and celebrate my identity. And now I'm openly queer, bisexual, and polyamorous, and I love talking about it and advocating for it, and it's really allowed me to practice boundaries that I was unable to have when I was a kid, and I'm now able to receive love and strength in my career. I think that when we're able to shed the masks that others place on us and focus on our light and what we want out of the world and the people around us, that's when we are able to be seen and perceived for who we are.
For sure. Self-love is a big key in this world.
Yeah.
I think that's it's our armor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And I feel like when you have self-love, you automatically give love to others.
Absolutely.
When you have so much love for yourself.
Absolutely.
It just like doesn't fail.
Yeah, when you put that energy into yourself, like, good things come out of that. Like, it's, you know, I'm in my era where I'm like, you know what, sometimes you just have to be selfish, and like,
selfish is not bad.
It's not a bad thing. Yes. Like I said, people aren't good or bad. They're just people at the end of the day. And
well, this is why we celebrate everyday people.
Yeah, everyday
we
people.
redefine things.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitions, yes.
Exactly. So I think that it's just important to like give yourself time and give yourself space and allow yourself grace and to take up space. I think it's so important.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get into what did you do before you did photography, or before, like, what did you do before you planned on taking photography as your main career?
Okay, yeah. So, wow, okay. So, before I don't know, I didn't really ever see myself as anything other than a photographer, but I actually started getting into it with MySpace when I was like 12. I downloaded Photoshop onto my computer super legitimately.
Definitely.
But yeah, super legitimately. And I taught myself Photoshop, and I ran a MySpace site, and I loved the graphic design elements of it, not even knowing at the time what I was
MySpace,
doing.
this one before
Yeah,
Facebook.
before Facebook.
Yes.
Like before, it was the social media before social media.
Yes. The original platform.
Yeah. But yeah, and my grandpa is a photographer. My uncle's a photographer. I come from a family of educators, so before I thought of myself as being a photographer as my career, I was gonna go into special education. And when I got to college, I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and it was more about paperwork and doing things by the book and not caring about the kids. So, not saying that people don't care about the kids, but I just, like, it just wasn't my path, and I changed my major to photography, and I haven't looked back since. But in that time, I've had other jobs. I've been a cook, I've worked as hostessing, and I worked at a nursing home when I was in high school. So I think that those experiences definitely drove into my career now. Being able to learn how to talk to people every day. People every day.
Everyday people.
Everyday people. But yeah, so I mean, just learning how to talk with people of all walks of life, and getting to, from, old and senile, who were like my favorite people ever at the nursing home, to just listening to cooks or waitresses and working with those kinds of people. Like, I get so much from perspectives of others, and that is what I've been always taking away from every job I've ever worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know you told me the story of, can you tell us a story about one of your supervisors telling you to have a thick skin?
Oh, yes. So when I got my first job as a cook was at this little county right by Grand Valley State University. And when he interviewed me, he was like, "You gotta have a thick skin. Do you have a thick skin?" I'm like all dressed up in my interview clothes. I got like fake nails on and stuff. He's like, "You gotta have a tough skin, girl." And I didn't realize that meant, have a tough skin for harassment and stuff. And it did, but I ended up really loving him, and like all of the harshness that was working in like a kitchen and stuff, it taught me a lot. So I guess I could say that I have a thicker skin now, and I've had to use it a lot being a woman in the cannabis industry in Michigan. So he was right. I did have to have a thick skin, and I ended up working there for 2 years. So
if I may, that's like having a drill sergeant in basic training in your specialty school for 6 months straight. Being that leader of that kitchen, it takes a lot of work and detailed work, or you're going to shut down with the health inspection.
Absolutely.
So it's a good substitute for what someone like a veteran like myself took. Mm-hmm. I got it from football.
You're right.
You're getting it from getting a paycheck, and that's honorable.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, it taught me a lot, and I definitely did have to have a thick skin. I worked my way up to a supervisor there while I was there, and it taught me a lot about being a leader and having leadership skills.
I'm
and
telling you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And now I'm my own boss. The only boss who's ever treated me well was myself. So
yourself.
Yeah. So I took that thick skin and all of the things that I learned in my past jobs and put it into practice now, and here I am.
All right. And how did you get into photography? Like the cannabis circle?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
My experience in the cannabis scene. Since I was 16, I have loved cannabis. As most people do in my hometown and stuff. But I became a medical user and have chronic pain from ankle surgeries. And I really got into cannabis then for pain and for like treatment with anxiety. And I just, from there, it just really branched out. I got really into glass and heady glass, which is more expensive pieces that aren't just made for production, they're made for art. And I was doing boudoir before I got into the cannabis scene. And
what's boudoir, Habibti?
Boudoir photography is I like to say that it's empowering photography for women and honestly anyone. But it's like bedroom photos, nudes, like tasteful nudes that help empower you and like bring you your sense of self. And I did that during the course of the pandemic, and I loved it. But you know, there was still something that I was itching for, and I did a button boudoir photo shoot, and I was like, wait, cannabis photography, duh. So I was like, I talked to some of my friends who are like glass collectors in the scene. I said, I think I want to do some glass photography. Is there a market for this? And he vouched for me and had me take some pictures of his like Piper Dan Big Z piece that he was getting ready to sell, which was like my first exposure to heady imagery. And yeah, so from there I went on Facebook and reached out seeing if there was a need, and have been working in the industry since. I still do glass photography. I love it. It's such a great challenge. But I have since moved and transitioned my way into more of the event space and focusing on people and less of the products and the people who run the scene and like, you know, the people behind it.
Yes. And I just wanted to tell the audience how we met. We were at one of the events, one of the cannabis events that was held in Michigan.
We were actually at Sacred After Party after the Michigan Psychedelic Conference. So, yes, we did. It was super exciting meeting you.
It was really, really exciting meeting you because, you know, we were there and you were taking photos of the moment.
Yes.
And capturing the moment and just like everyone doing business together and just like getting along with each other and just the vibes of like positive vibes and the energy was just lit. And for you to take photos of that moment, it was just like amazing to me, you know, to be a part of that and to get to know you. So I just wanted to put that out in the world and let everyone know that.
Thank you. Yeah, I love being able to like borrow these moments from people, and you know, because you don't, when you're doing those events, they're like a whirlwind. They fly by so quickly.
Yes, they do.
And so what I get to do in the scene is I get to take those little moments that you guys forget about, and I get to give them back to you. And that's like one of my favorite things that I get to do. When I return photos to people, they go, oh my God, I can't believe you got this shot, or like whatever. And that's what I live for. I love giving moments back to people. And it was so nice meeting you. And that event was so special. And
definitely was.
Yeah, it was great. So all of those events, they always hold such a special place in my heart, each and every one of them.
Definitely. We are going to take a station break and we are going to continue. All right, you are watching Everyday People Live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all top social media platforms. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you comment. Okay, when you subscribe to this channel, you make it global and you make it international. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. And أعزائي المشاهدين شكرا للمشاهدة. Everyday People على قناة WJZZ Cool TV. And my special guest is Kendalyn and Julio, Leal.
Así es.
Yes. Yes. And I want to thank our sponsors, Pink Cab Express, for sponsoring the show. And if you would like to sponsor the show, you can hit the Cash App, capital J 112233, capital W. And thank you so much for tuning in every single week to Everyday People. And let's continue with the show. All right. So we have the movie producer from Hollywood, Mr. Julio Leal.
We'll slide in a bit here.
Yes. Yellow, we want to know how you got your name.
How did I get my name? From mommy and daddy, I guess. I got to say, however, it's Julio Cesar Martinez Leal, full Mexican, complement of names. But, it's Julius Caesar. That's Julio Caesar, you know what I mean? And that's how, the word Kaiser was from the Caesars of Rome. So I'm like, okay, I guess through my life I have wondered, how did I get that name, Mom? Or Dad? As well, a brother of mine was going to be named Olympio or something like that. So.
Interesting. Olympio.
Yeah, I guess my parents were thinking Euro, Ancient Euro, I suppose. Now, of course, origins of Leal itself is Irish, Scottish. Gentleman from Scotland decided it was way too cold up there and moved to Spain, is the word. He enjoyed the tropical weather much more. And then from there it jumped off over when Columbus just started discovering the new world from there. So genealogy just shows my last name throughout Europe. I mean, there's small pockets. It's very rare.
Yes. And what did you do before you started movie production?
What did I not do?
What did you not do? Well, that's the same thing I say to myself.
No, I mean, as far as like entrepreneurial focuses, water conservation, small business in conserving water, using modern technologies to take water out of service industries, and particularly automobile washing. I have a business that washes cars without water. It's called Green Clean Auto Home and Solar. Please send questions through Facebook, YouTube, if you're interested in water conservation in your home. But from there, that supported a career in Hollywood. Since the military, I just decided that was something that was introduced to me, and I grew up having to think of how can I raise money from a humble family, single mother, and still be able to do the things that I wanted to do with my friends. Well, I decided to get entrepreneurial at a very early age. With business in my family, I guess it just soaked in. And I was washing cars, detailing, doing the lawns and whatnot. And when I was asked if I wanted to do laundry, sweep the floors, clean the bathrooms or iron, I said I'd rather do the landscaping outside. When grandmommy came around, put 4 boys to work. And I started doing that. So I love to be outdoors. Being able to service people outdoors for things they need done without water is just something I've stuck to for the last 25, 30 years. Yeah. And, while I was in Hollywood, saved thousands and thousands of gallons of water, meeting people and educating the public about what's possible in a drought time. And while making films and racking on credits on studio productions and living the dream, okay? Now, I do have an Truly Hollywood story to tell you all. Not right now. That's for a different episode, huh?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes, that's for a different episode, of course.
Yes. But it's a story of passion, determination, trying to find yourself in the challenges and then of the heartbreak you're going to meet along the way that hardens your skin. It's what's your dream in a pool of sharks world out there,
Yeah, but how did you how you do different types of businesses, and then a lot of people don't understand to do film. It takes money to make money, and not only that, it's the bigger picture, right? It's the process. Can we talk about the process?
Any question you have, because I don't know where to begin.
You don't know where to begin?
Right?
I mean, the processes of creation are usually non-linear, especially when it comes to film. It takes years. It could take years, and
So speaking on that,
and that's the part most people don't see.
Yeah.
And
and no one talks
when
about.
you came on the set, you set me aside when crew's doing their thing, setting up the next shot. And probed me, which, really motivates someone like me, because you are able to communicate what it took to be on this set right now, presently. And it took getting the pen to paper first. It took experiences to influence creative minds and combining moments with colleagues in Hollywood or, in LA, that you meet randomly at these events, right?
Right.
So once you've established a great connection with people, you don't want to break it. Yeah. However, in the film industry, that happens because there's so many people on a set. But a lot of crews stay in touch and stay on the telly together, and now on text and message, and it's just a great thing to. As I get older, the community's growing.
Yeah.
And I'm so pleased with it.
For sure.
I'll be retiring doing this.
Yes. It doesn't feel like a job.
Not at all.
You just feel like it's a part of your purpose of trying to make people more aware of what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. At the same time, if you see, you might have your own little crusade to follow yourself. And if you've changed one mind, if you've inspired one person, if you've, and that's what sparks more creativity and more inspiration to others. And then when I get on a set, it doesn't matter if I'm the guy throwing the rubbish in a bin for $100 a day. I'm going to be kind and be passionate with everybody on the set. You know what I mean? And that has actually gotten me opportunities where I've volunteered to make sure that 150 extras were not abusing someone's property. You know what I mean? So I would take the initiative to just help production. And once they notice, they just don't let you alone.
Yes.
And they invite you back here and then and now and again. So, it's just a community thing in film that's, I think, always kept me in it.
Right. I just wanted to tell our audience how we met.
Yeah.
And, yes. And it was through Tish. And Tish is also a movie producer as well.
She's outstanding.
Yes. And she's a part of the Rustin. And she basically recommended me to Mr. Julio Leal. And he's working on a movie, on an episode series.
It's actually a feature film series.
Yes, feature film series. And it's called The Unknown Soldier. And The Unknown Soldier is about human trafficking in the Middle East and Afghanistan. And it's a very, very important issue that I've always wanted to be a part of and bring out the story. So to be a part of that is extremely mind-blowing. When we were on the set and, you were directing me to do my lines and things like that, it's definitely a connection when you're working with people. It's a big connection. And you bring out the stories of people around the world. And how does that make you feel?
It makes you, of course, internally feel powerful, because you can within yourself. And, but to take it to creating something that hasn't ever existed and creating it to be live as action for a moment in time, 3 takes at a time, 4, 10, 15, that's what we do. We take what has existed and recreate it as accurately as possible, because it'll never be recreated again in humanity in that way. It's unique, those moments. But as filmmakers, we take unique moments and recreate them the best we can, from our minds or from history and the minds of others. And that's, I think, one thing I've always said is the most outstanding thing about being a part of what we do, even from the stills photography on set, that ends up being the just prolific movie posters that drive people in. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Hint, hint. I do need some serious photography. And so,
Hint taken.
Yeah, okay, take it well.
Yeah, take it well. Well received.
Yes. This is everyday people. Gotta reconnect everybody together. That's why.
Do you read me loud and clear?
Yeah. Loud and clear.
So it's like taking experiences, as we were talking about earlier in the first segment, there was, we take little bits from our lives and bring it together. And after serving in the U.S. military for 8 years and choosing skills and schools that you were kind of manipulated to go into, you still take a silver lining of what you've learned. And one of my expertise was biological nuclear warfare and protecting people and soldiers from the effects or contamination or an assault of those things. And, in this film, my character, Heck Sanchez, is a Green Beret in the United States Army who is in the Intelligence Corps, and he is a chemical intelligence surveillance officer and operations, person that is invited to go on a seriously high stakes, top secret solo mission, completely ghost, to watch chemical weapons and biological weapons being removed from Syria. But while he's on the ground under a bush watching traffic, some guy comes up and is manhandling a lady, which influences one of the major themes of the film, which is the chainsaw. That, hey, this isn't the Texas Chainsaw Murders or Massacre. This is a story about the horrors in combat in the Middle East that have been witnessed. Mutilations, mass graves, total corralling of people in Iraq. And we're bringing this story to a simple man from America that saw an opportunity to save a life and find out what her story was, and it turns out to be a huge trafficking ring in the Middle East, connected all over the world, based on CIA intelligence and U.S. military intelligence from that region. So to be able to take insight and information and save lives and rescue people, it has been done. It's been being done since 2015, 2016, and on and on. And I've been listening to the stories, and so when I decided to make this story, turn a short film into telling the backstory of a lead character in a short film, the mind just goes poof, 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 and all these rooms open up like in Minecraft, I suppose. I haven't played it, but I've seen it over the shoulder of my nieces and my daughter. But at my age, middle life, I'm not feeling like giving up. I'm still a kid that wants to play, dress up, and tell serious stories. I've always wanted to do that in the film industry, and having a job with a process that's so complex, takes a lot of energy and dedication. But if you've written it down as a seriously dedicated filmmaker, you find a way to turn those words into action,
Yes. It's like, so a lot of the events in the episodes is based on realistic events that
Yes.
happen in the world.
Yes.
And the detail that you put in the movie, just the color, what people say, what people do, and all the detail, how does that play in your head?
It has to play over and over again. Even for a sequence of photos.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many stills per
the planning,
pose?
the stills, the culling, all of it. It always sticks.
The
with
detail.
You. It
So,
always sticks with you.
Yeah, and you're determined to make it look as best as your vision has seen it in your mind and in your mind's eye, because if you have a lot going on, and especially complicated layers of, like we've talked, non-linear thoughts of this sound could sound like this. And then I know I'm going to have to go do a final sound sweep at the very end of the movie, so everything's nice and smooth, audible, a product that people will enjoy. But first you got to paint the canvas, right?
Yes.
See the samples yourself, and then if you know you can do it, you intend on producing it. And producing it is bringing all those layers together, the assets, to be able to put the video timeline on there, and knowing you're going to need some graphics to explain things like the Tarantino, and of course, very acted out films, first, second, third act will always give you a title leading you into what's going on, and especially in episodes, where I'm taking what I'm making, that's almost a 3-hour saga of this story from the Middle East, where this character, Hex Sanchez, finds that there are horrors in combat and in combat zones and in and around them, with residual and collateral effects. But there are also horrors for these service members back home in the States that are occurring day and night, daily, often, He finds out that a tragic event happens while he's on his last mission. He's about to retire, Hey, some of those things are the elements of a major blockbuster hit, and bringing in a love interest and all that is just what I've envisioned for this independent film,
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I've made the choices I've made. Because of that, I've met such an amazing people like yourself, Shalette Jackson, who's playing the co-lead female operations team member.
An amazing actress.
Oh yes, totally,
Amazing.
and an amazing filmmaker too.
Yes.
And and having someone like that in your team, that's an operations team that's leading the first rescue of multiple evidentiary captives from Iraq, from America, from Africa. That there's an international. There are women of international capacities that are captive right now throughout the world in a desolate and abysmal world of human trafficking, and it's just so mind-boggling. They're using manipulation, drugs, false promises, looking down the barrel of guns daily, especially for the hardcore and ISIS and whatnot. Always bound, fed, clothed, washed, drugged, over and over. They're food drugged. It's just an all-out totalitarian event that those bastards created over there. You know what I mean? The ISIL, ISIS, those that are anti-democratic government, those that are hardcore below Sharia, that is not recognized, and yet they have enough followers to believe it is. There are many countries that are sending people to try to quell it and quash it wherever they can as it comes, and as it appears, it disappears because of these operators. And we're telling the stories of the unknown soldiers out there.
Yes, the unknown soldier. And before we take our station break, I want you to remind everyone, where can they go watch the unknown soldier?
Episode 1 for the series of episodes is at Vimeo, theunknownsoldier.tv. Simply plainly put, theunknownsoldier.tv is now airing episode 1. That's something to celebrate. Thank you so much for letting me come on here to announce that.
Of course.
Episode 2 is following closely. My computers got hacked by who knows who, so they're controlling my release dates. I have no control of it. I've been hacked. And so they're leaking my stuff whenever they feel like it.
Yay!
Wink, wink.
Don't do this one.
In the concept of the entire, spy realm and everything, and hacking and leaking in this world now. This is something that I put different elements out to watch wherever I go on a hotel room screen. Plug in my links and see what the quality looks like, as far as, because not just starring in it, I don't know if we've mentioned that, but I'm starring in it, I've written it, I'm directing, editing. We've created some original music for it. I'm proud to say, from original artists that wherever I'm at, I just embrace original music. Old Army buddies of mine have sent me tracks. Old Army buddies of mine have been my focus group throughout the country to tell me that everything's looking pretty accurate, Julio. You haven't missed a step yet.
Yes.
And so, as a professional filmmaker, you want to have those elements in place of a focus group, or your favorite fans and friends that are always there in the living room with you. So, all right, you're all forced to watch another cut of this one. You know what I mean? But, as you're going through that process, it's like, okay, they were asking the right questions. Boy, were they bloody pissing me off, because no one was watching the actual show at the moment for the day of that screening, because they wanted to know, and that's what you want out of a director. The writer wants to see his writing get reaction.
Right. All right. Beautifully said. And we are going to take our station break, and we are going to continue with our conversation. You are watching Everyday People live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all top social media platforms. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you comment. And subscribing is very important. That's how we go viral, and it's how we can all share the beautiful show with everyone else and touch the hearts of everyone. And I also want to say special thanks to Pink Cab Express, our sponsor of the show. And if you would like to be a sponsor on Everyday People, you can hit this Cash App, capital J 112233, capital W. And أعزائي المشاهدين, شكرا للمشاهدات. Everyday People على قناة WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And my special guest, we're going to continue with our special guests, Kendalyn and Julio Leal. All right, so I have a question for the both of you now. Okay?
I'm ready.
All right.
You're going to interrogate us now?
I'm going to interrogate you.
I didn't know I was coming into this. I didn't know I was coming into this.
I'm a terrible actor.
And you got me in the corner. And you have me in the corner here.
In the corner?
No.
You're right in front of the camera. All right. So my question to both of you is: I know I was having a conversation with Julio Leal today, and I was commending him how he reminds me of like a painter, an artist, and more specifically Picasso. And the reason why I said Picasso is because, like, any type of form of art it's art. but it's just like in a different form. One is a painter, one is a movie filmmaker, one is a photographer. And so all of these talents coming together to bring out the human emotion of the moment is amazing. So what do you guys have to say about that in the work that you do?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk first. I think that, when people think they have, like, I don't know, it's all a collaboration, right? And I often say that I'm all about, like, community over competition, and, like, creating art is a way to tell not only my own story, but other people's story. Like I said earlier, I get to give people's moments back to them, whether it's in weddings or at events or, for a business or for a musician who's about to put out, like, their next album or something like that. Like, being able to collaborate is so important. And, I think we're in this age of creation, and we have we really, like, create. Like, you have your avenues like TikTok and Facebook and so, like, Instagram, YouTube, you all have your own website and whatever. Like, it's so important to tell these stories, and now we have these platforms to use and tell the stories and get out there, and being able to listen to other people and hear their stories and gain their perspective is how I'm able to create. And I get all of these opportunities because of the people. Like, that's why I create. Like, it's not about me. It's about all of the things that people give me that I get to give back to them through my art. So yeah.
Well said. Thank you. And
Completely agree. I completely agree. And to add, I like to think that, time, we have it. No one's taking it from us. No one can slow it down for us or speed it up for us. It never changes. Time is the only constant. It's up to us and what we want to do with it. What our heart and soul plugs us into. And so, as I was growing up, I wanted to address the whole community thing and tell stories. And the ancients had fire that brought people together to hear the stories. Analog. Now we have all of this. You know what I mean? It's like right now I can just go on there and go, oh, I'm onto a nice little tip now, right? And I would like to record it, right? But we can take that story from around the fire and put it around the world just with these tools, But,
you're right.
But then to take it to being able to... sorry, guys. I just wanted to turn this to a selfie so I can get this, because I'm, sometimes you don't never say the same thing twice. So I grew up after Lincoln Park. My father was laid off from Ford Motor Company. A very nice living for Mexican immigrants and families, and got the home and all that when I was 1 year old. We were immigrated to Detroit. At 9, I found myself in South Texas on a different border. And it was the same there's a border up here. There's a border down there. Right? So, when I came to playing soldier all these little kid years with all these other little kids, it felt natural. And collected all the Army stuff. And naturally, when I graduated high school, I went to the military. But during that high school experience, I was able to get into a class at 16 years old, observing at 15 these students with all this equipment, making productions happen in a school-funded studio. I'm talking with the lights, 18 of these little rooms, and kids behind the control room, like the guy right over there. Thank you for your support right there. The man on the switcher. Yeah. Yay. What's his name?
Derek.
Yay. Derek. I was you when I was 16, and I'm proud of you, man. And I'm proud of what I stuck to, because I had a mentor, my teacher, who corralled these kids, auditioned them. You had to answer questions to be able to touch that equipment that was at the time. Started out with VHS and stuff, but then when I finally got into that, 86, 87, they started getting digital in TV studio, news station studio equipment, I just jumped on it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like a cat on a scratch tower, and spent a lot of time in the middle of nowhere, Texas, in the studios, producing highlight videos for football, of course, Friday Night Lights and stuff, and making short films of, military-style short films that were our grades. We had to make these. They said, here are the tools. Get a script in, it's by now. Then you're going to go into pre-production. You're going to know what you're going to need. And we were doing it as kids, teenagers. I was a part of the first broadcast team of high schoolers in the nation on a college level, and held station director, sports director, news anchor, control room director, stage manager, and all of that, and just took it from there in life, serving in the military, acting in the military and theater. I was a part of shows, theater productions that the government funded for locals to have entertainment around those bases, and just having the blessing of being exposed to very professional environments in the arts was definitely a core staff or column, and that's your spine if you really took it seriously. And at some points in my life, I had to say, okay, I don't want to do any advertising sales. I don't want to do any menial sales job door to door anymore. I can't do it in my 30s and stuff like that, or 20s, to make that extra money and live the dream. So, it came to a focus of just getting right into it from the community I got, in the very beginning of the experience.
Definitely. You've, it looks like you've met a lot of different, ethnic backgrounds to be able to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
You're very well-rounded globally.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yes. And my next question is actually, because the time is flying, because we're having too much fun.
I keep yapping away, anyway.
That's what we do here. My next question to the both of you is, what is your advice for anyone that's out there that's wanting to do what you do now? To all the young kids, to all the older...
Me first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I stick with it. Also, be aware of burnout and have grace with yourself. I think that we in this day and age, as content producers or filmmakers, photographers, whatever, if you work in this visual media, you a lot of times get run to the bone. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time to take some time for yourself, and because if you're not doing well, your projects probably aren't doing that well either. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to create all the time to be a creator. You're still a creator. Mm-hmm. And it just, having that balance is so important. And especially for kids and students in college, I didn't touch a camera for a year after I graduated college. I was so burnt out. From my photography. Just project after project after project and all of that stuff. And here I am now. I do photography all the time. It's my whole focus, and I still have to, sometimes say, hey, I need to take a day off, or I need a break. Don't burn yourself out for the sake of others. It's not worth it. And the kind of work, it'll still be there for you when you get back to it. You can take a break and it'll still be there. It's not, it might be that deep, but it's not that deep. Your health comes first.
Yes, health is first.
Yeah, I left the job recently, resigned, because I feel like a sleepwalking man, and with a goal to finish The Unknown Soldier as a 3-feature saga. What's available now is a 15-minute episode from the entire saga, because I refuse to be, stopped. You know what I mean? But what was your original question? I don't want to digress from it, because I totally love what you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, continue. But the question was, what is your advice for anyone that's watching?
Yeah, the advice is, if it really makes you feel happy, and take the burnout, notice, because you don't want to be flattened by your passion. You really don't. And you can measure yourself and tell yourself where your threshold is. But my advice to people is develop it, have some fun with it at first. Start with that 3-minute short of 5 lines. If you want to share images to the screen the way you've seen them, or you've actually written something, and find out how to put it in script form for TV or for film. There are minor differences, but as long as you can put it in the center of the page and put those words coherently for an actor's going to pick that script up and start reading it. When you get a lot of conversations of, I want to write something, the next thing that person should say is, I'm learning how to do it. And my best advice is, learn how to take that pen. I had pens here. Oh, there they are. Take that pen. I'm not going to write on this. And start writing. This is the hardest part right here.
One of my favorite exercises that I learned in my communications class in college was to just do free writing. Just write whatever's on, don't think about, whatever's on your brain, just write it down. Yeah. Just streamline your thoughts. And just don't take a break for half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever. And then, it helps with brain block,
it's a
writer's
common
block
drill.
And all that stuff.
It's a good drill. I mean, in my time training in intelligence, I am not an intelligence officer, I declare right now. I am highly trained with them due to proximity, and they needed a body. But, the reports are written over and over and over and over again, because if you're getting something wrong, you're putting people's lives at risk. And so it's the same thing with your talent. If you're getting something wrong and somehow you get to broadcast it, you're going to find out if you're wrong. Right? So
absolutely.
Learn how to be wrong to yourself first.
Learn to love your mistakes.
Like Einstein, the most recent ones is that he who or she who never tried anything new never made a mistake. You know what I mean? And those kind of people just think too much of themselves if they've never made mistakes in their lives.
Yes,
absolutely.
We all make mistakes.
Hey, it's up to the beholder to put them in the pedestal that they deserve or not. But you know what I mean? It's a very it's just a very complicated art, the filmmaking art, and it takes special breed.
I have one more bit of advice for every creator, artist, whatever. You should raise your prices. Let me just tell you.
Solidarity.
Raise your rates. Stop undervaluing yourself. You're super talented.
Not only that, but also, come on, let's talk
bones.
Let's talk business.
There's a room and a place for free work, and it happens, and you will do it.
Right.
But also, if you undervalue yourself as you start out in your career, you will constantly be undervalued. If you start too low with your prices as a photographer, as a filmmaker,
trust me, anything you do.
Whatever. You know what? If you give out deals constantly and then you stop, then they were only looking for the deal. They were only looking for the discount. You want to invest in yourself and you want others to invest in you, raise your prices. That was just a little.
And at the onset of even developing a business relationship with someone who needs advertising, someone who needs that promotion video for their property. Hey, they think you go back with a computer and sit there and in 10 minutes it's done.
Yeah.
But they don't hear from you for 3 days, and they think it's done when you get back to your office, instantly, twiddle of the nose, you know what I mean, and it's done. And then, because I've been in a situation where I'm billing 5 figures that will help me jump to 6 figures in their advertising budget for the next year, but they're too cheap to pay $16,000 on a year's production costs. You know what I mean? And it's like they think, why don't you put your office up in here where all the cooks and servers walk to edit? You ask any master, and they'll say you need to be isolated in creativity to get to truly create good creativity that takes focus and concentration. And so if you find yourself in that kind of a bubble in your life, then you have the potential to be able to take time for your art. Picasso painted 13, 14, 20, 40, how do I know? Prints of many pieces. How do I know? I've intended to complete a documentary about the seated harlequin, where I had one in my possession to research, study, be inspired by. A question of which version was it and is it authentic, called Unlocking Picasso.
Wow.
And so I found myself in him in my films from before, aka Claustrophobia, the director's cut on YouTube. It's free. Claustrophobia, the director's cut, where I go Picasso on it in a psychological domestic thriller. And, we've sold a few thousand copies of it, and now that it's free for the world to see, I love to go back to it and see what I painted on the canvas there. You know what I mean? And for the sense of Picasso that, I learned so much and then was able to study the frame, the wood, macro lens it as a filmmaker, like really dissect a piece from the master. I was so humbled every day. It hung on a wall in my condo in West Hollywood while I researched and developed and kept it safe for the owner. I was just in this adventure in Hollywood throughout, and I'm just like taking pictures of it and, just extreme close stills of every detail to look for all the telltale signs of an original. And no one wants to say it's an original, which would change all our lives and the owner's life.
Wow.
If his granddad came from Italy during the dawn of cinema, where Picasso was doing artwork on sets in France, he would leave Spain, his studios in Spain, to go make cinema in France with his friends from Italy.
Wow.
And I met direct contact friends and or quote-unquote descendants of him, and there's provenance. However, it's just, that's a screenplay that I've been working on as well. The story of Mr. Jesu and, his adventures in donning cinema in the Far East, creating subtitles right after talkies came out for the Asian market is where they made their fortune. From Italy to China, World War II dampened everything with the Japanese. They had to shut all their theaters down and all their production offices and hide all their belongings as the Japanese approached.
Wow.
And, and then they got put in internment camps.
Yeah.
It's a great story, but that painting was underground in China,
Wow.
hidden from the Japanese. Because it was a gift from Picasso at his peak at the late teens and 20s in his blue period, and after the rose period, when the rose period started after the blue period of Picasso. And so when I go around, I went to the Guggenheim in Venice to research Picasso there and take images of those paintings and look at the similarities of the frames and of the touch and the brush strokes. And I'm just convinced that's what I had in my possession. That's what I documented, and it just constantly inspires me, like coal in an oven or a steam engine.
Wow.
Thanks for that comparison.
Yes. Oh my God. I didn't even know this story, and I compared you to Picasso. I didn't even know.
That's why the connection's universal. You know what I mean? Totally.
Yes.
Yep.
Man.
That's crazy.
That is. Woo! We literally have 1 minute left.
1 minute. Let's do it.
1 minute left. So in the 1 minute, do you think we can take photography?
Let's do it.
A couple pictures, or is it too tight of a time?
We certainly. I can take a couple of
Yes, we're
There
gonna
you
do
go.
a live photo shoot, Habibis.
That's her primary, ready to go. Little
You guys
tactical
get to
talk.
see it live.
I'd rather shoot pictures.
Pictures.
Yeah, you guys just.
Which way should we look?
What else do you want to talk about while you close up?
No,
Well-
I mean, just keep the frames rolling.
Yes.
Keep clicking. Your ideas are worth being seen by anyone, your family, your friends, social media. Random people are gonna love what you